What's up, America? Welcome to K-Cast. This is Kevin here to kind of share some news and what's going on in the world today. So, I spent a good portion of the weekend just reading articles and things like that, and I saw a consistent theme where you would see these people talking about how I'm a Republican, but I feel like I need to leave the Republican Party. I'm not even going to share these people's names. People talking about saying that the violence at the Capitol in D.C. was unprecedented. There were people talking about how there was baseless claims of election fraud. It was all lies. Trump lied to the American people, et cetera, ad nauseum infinitum. Suddenly the right has turned to being the left again, which is a completely common occurrence in our nation. People regularly say they believe one thing and act another way, and I thought I would bring you some examples. Okay, so here goes. Let me unhide my camera so you can see. I think that's it. We'll go like this. All right, so we were told forever that there was evidence of collusion with Russia, right? So here we go. I'm gonna play the videos right off of YouTube. I will put the links in the description. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it okay. But I'm gonna have to mute my mic while I play things and then come right back to you. All right. So here we go.
Breaking news.
A bombshell.
Today is a turning point. Today was historically bad for President Trump.
Today was a turning point.
A turning point.
We're at a turning point here.
The beginning of the end for the Trump presidency.
We have another bombshell.
Mike Pence might have to assume the office of the presidency.
Rumblings of the word impeachment.
Breaking news.
Another bombshell out of the White House.
I believe this is the beginning of the end.
I do too.
It's really the beginning of the end.
He may be feeling the walls closing in on him.
All the walls closing in on him.
The walls closing in on him.
Breaking news, a new bombshell.
One astrologer says this means the beginning of the end for President Donald Trump.
Trump will resign.
Trump is going to resign.
Is this the tipping point? I know we've said it over and over.
You think this is a tipping point?
And over and over.
This is a tipping point.
And over and over.
Breaking news, President Trump off the rails.
It was the beginning of the end today.
The beginning of the end.
Breaking news tonight, new bombshell.
This is the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
The walls are closing in.
The walls closing in.
The walls closing in.
Breaking overnight bombshell.
This is a very dramatic day, and I think it might be near a tipping point. Do you think this is a tipping point?
December 1st, 2017, you can mark it down. This is the day that everything changed.
The beginning of the end?
Beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
The beginning of the...
We begin tonight with the bombshell.
Donald Trump is in a lot of trouble.
Trump is in trouble.
The president will resign.
Another hour, another bombshell.
This is a tipping point.
Trump's going down.
This president could be impeached.
Resignation. I don't think this president is going to serve out his term.
Mr. Trump will not serve out his term.
He will not serve out his term.
No way, no how.
Breaking news.
Absolute bombshell.
Donald Trump is not. He's done. And it's over.
It's over.
The walls closing in.
The walls closing in.
This is going to be the Achilles heel.
Breaking news tonight.
All right, guys, I can share that later. You can look at it. The link will be in the description once this video goes live. It continues on like that. As you can see, you might say, oh, well, that's just the media playing their normal media games. Well, are they the media or are they the press? Why do you give an entertainment venue access to the White House press corps when they're media, when they're entertainment, when they're the World Wrestling Federation, right? Like, why would you give the same access to CNN that you give to a serious news organization? Ever. You have freedom of the press in this country. You don't have freedom of entertainment, right? As shown by all of the things that you can't say or do on the internet these days. But you got freedom of the press, and they use it to play these silly games, right? But that's just the media. So who else? Well, let's look. No, not that one. Here are politicians, right? You actually have politicians doing the same thing. And I'll get into why I'm showing this. I have so many videos lined up for you today, including this one. This is the what Parlor Saw during the Capitol attack on the Capitol. It sheds new light on how the events unfolded, how people were just so much. So I'll show it to you, and I haven't gone through it all because it is a lot. But where'd she go? I'm looking for Maxine Waters, right? There's a video of her. Absolutely. Let me open up this real quick. Is it this one? Here's another supercut. This one is called Collusion Supercuts. And they do the same thing over again. And you'll actually see some politicians intermingled in this one. This one was put together by the Washington Free Beacon. Again, link in the description. I didn't do it. But it is informative to kind of remind you of how often you are lied to about pretty much everything all the time.
Of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia.
There is this suggestion out there from an awful lot of Trump critics that those dots may well connect in some way that points to collusion. Of alleged collusion between Donald Trump and Russia.
A dossier bluntly asserts that there was collusion.
Allegations of Russian collusion.
The allegations of collusion with Russia.
Or that there was some greater potential collusion.
And lying about collusion.
Criminality or collusion.
Now, I'm not even at the direct collusion stage yet.
I'm not saying that there was necessarily collusion.
Possible collusion.
Whether there was collusion.
Collusion with the Russians.
And any collusion, alleged collusion.
And this question of collusion.
Is there any evidence of collusion?
Any evidence of any connections between the Trump campaign collusion?
Well, we don't know it.
But Congressman, you said with the collusion, there's no evidence
Allison,
that there's collusion.
They didn't find any evidence of collusion.
We have no evidence of collusion.
There is no evidence of collusion between the Russians and the Trump campaign.
And when it comes to the issue of collusion, which was the word that was used today, you know, it depends what.
What's not proven is the idea of collusion.
That's correct.
All right. So, again, you have collusion, drama, right? And we all know now, because now they'll tell people, actually, there was no evidence of collusion, right? Similarly, that was not the link I wanted, but we'll get there. Now, we know it, but... Sorry, wrong link again. I'm trying to find it. I have it here. Well, it's not any of those three. Let's see. I'll find it for you. No problem. All right, so here we go again. It's another Maxine Waters, one of the biggest liars in the history of Congress, goes on TV regularly, pointing out, saying she knows there was collusion, there was collusion, there was collusion. Here we go.
I say that he was in collusion with Putin. I believe that there really has been collusion. I say that he was in collusion with the Kremlin. I am so depending on our special counsel, Robert Mueller, to connect the dots, to connect those dots. Connect the dots. 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 The dots are connected. The dots are getting closer. If there was collusion, we'll get to collusion. I have my hopes on Mueller, as most people do. I think it's going to be proven that if Mueller does his job, I believe there was collusion, and collusion will lead to impeachment. It's going to lead right to impeachment. That he ought to be impeached. So I believe it is possible to impeach him. That we need to impeach him. How long is it going to take? I don't know, but I give it to about December. We've got to get the facts. We've got to do the investigation. That is what leads to impeachment. I think it will lead to the impeachment of this president. We've got him.
You heard it right there, folks. Another politician. Now, obviously, Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, they all played that game. They all talked about, they saw evidence of collusion, there's collusion, this is happening, lies, right? And you go, well, that's just Trump. They just did that with Trump. False, right? So there are times when our government lies to us. I think most Americans accept that. I think we're all pretty okay with that. But, for example, years and years and years ago, it was a crazy year called 2001. And 2 buildings were taken down by terrorists. And about 5 days later, I received a briefing from just one of my tech sergeants that he received a briefing that somebody else received a briefing up the chain that the 9/11 attacks were meant to be part of a larger strategy of 5 to 7 more terrorist attacks were meant to follow. And that we all needed to stay on guard. We all needed to do our duties diligently and support in every way we could, right? So whether you were manning the door and checking an ID, or your job was to inspect the parking lot for bombs, you needed to stay on your game, right? Now, did they tell the American people about that plan? Absolutely not. It never popped up on the news. I've always been a bit of a news hound. I watch it. I listen to it every day. They didn't tell the American people about that. So, plenty of journalists at the time asked, hey, are there any further plans? Do we have any intel? Da, 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 da. The truth of the matter is we probably had more intel, but we didn't share it with the public because it would have just created fear, right? So, that's an example of which we're kind of okay with our government lying to us. What we're not okay with would be things like how Obama told us that bin Laden was a has-been, nobody was really bringing intel to him, that he was kind of useless, it was time to take him out, that we'd received all the intel we could through him, and that the rest of Al-Qaeda wasn't really listening to him anymore, right? So, this is November 3rd, 2017, right? The story of how 470,000 documents from Osama bin Laden's compound finally got into the open, right? We were told there was nothing there. The American people were told, no, it was fine to kill Osama bin Laden. We didn't need any intel from him. The truth of the matter was, we had been using him for intel for years, and there's no evidence, as it stands today, that had stopped. Do you understand? When they went to kill him, it was a purely politically motivated effort. Now, granted, there's always a plan in place to kill a target like him. Okay, we know where he is. We're going to, have the option, right? And track this target and da-da-da-da. But it does not mean you execute on it, right? That said, we were intercepting intel from him for a very long time through basically a courier that would bring information to him. We kind of hijacked the guy, get the information coming in, get the information going out, and he was left to his own devices because of us, right? Now, we were told nothing was found, except at the compound. Except after Trump came into office, he declassified 470,000 documents that were found in his compound, showing things all the way from, South, I guess we'd call it Southwestern Asia, all the way to America, different attacks, different plans that were in place, and things like that. Now, what you would notice, if you look back through the history, is that we had a pretty much, in Europe and America, you had almost a clean slate between 2001 and 2009 in terms of terrorist attacks. Any attacks that got through were pretty much homegrown, not related to Al-Qaeda, right? We kill Osama bin Laden, and then what happened over the next half decade? Spain, Burma, I think it was Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines had terrorist attacks, right? Now, I'm creating a correlation without causation. What I'm saying is all these attacks got through because we killed Osama bin Laden instead of taking in the intelligence and acting on it. I don't know that. What I'm saying is it's very possible. And it didn't make sense to kill Osama bin Laden at the time. That's my take. Am I glad he's dead? Yeah. But also, when you're in charge of the free world, you have to make decisions that you find distasteful from time to time. So, all I'm saying is that's an example of how we were lied to by our government, by a politician, right? Like the collusion thing, like the 9/11 thing I discussed a minute ago, right? We were lied to about Antifa being an idea by Joe Biden, a myth by Jerry Nadler. We were lied to. And we're used to it. We're so used to it that we don't even expect them to tell the truth anymore. We have no reasonable expectation that these people will tell the truth. And that should disturb all of us, right? But all of those same people told you that all of the election fraud stuff, all of these same media nut jobs, right? All of the people that told you that this violence here is, like, literally, they're attacking a man and his child because he's in Portland. He's wearing the wrong outfit in Portland. That's gang violence. a man and his daughter being attacked. And this wasn't even like a big... It was August 22nd. I don't know what happened August 22nd, but this happens. This happens all the time in Portland. But it's just an idea. That's any other place. If that was Compton, you'd call that gang violence. Right? But the media ignores it. Right? They tell you this is a myth, that this doesn't happen, that you should ignore it. The same thing the politicians do. Right? Now, when it came to the collusion narrative, when you put them under oath, when they took them into the SCIF, and the SCIF is a secure classified intelligence facility, I think that's what it stands for. Essentially, it's a room that's like basically signals hopefully can't get in and can't get out. You're not allowed to bring a cell phone in, any digital devices, smart watches, things like that. And there's the network, and then there's the secured network, right? Basically, the government internet, and then there's the secured government internet. And you go in there, and that's where that all happens. And this is a place where you can discuss classified things in relative safety. Hopefully nothing gets out. And you can share information and discuss a path ahead, a way forward, right? Let me see if anybody's in chat, because I don't want to be rude to anybody nice enough to stop by. What's going on? All right, cool. So nobody's watched me yet, which makes this easier. All right. So, they all went into the SCIF in the basement of the Capitol, and they all gave testimony. All these politicians, all these bureaucrats, all these people who had gone on TV saying they have seen evidence of Russian collusion, all of them went into that SCIF and said, yeah, I actually didn't see anything. I had no knowledge of anything. I have no knowledge of any evidence of Russian collusion. For 4 years, they ran our country through the ringer on it. And then when it all came out, they didn't have one person on the record who actually said, I saw evidence of Russian collusion. And then after that, it came out just after the election, I think it was just after the election, that actually all of them knew all along that the Steele dossier was funded by Clinton, which we all knew for a long time, but also knew that the plan to make a Russian collusion narrative was created by the Hillary Clinton campaign. And they all, like lemmings, ran off that cliff with her. Our government did. Our federal employees did. And our media did. They all lied to us. Why? Because they weren't under oath. If they were under oath, they would have pleaded the fifth. They would have said nothing. They would have said, I had no recollection of that. They would have avoided the question like they do. But when you put them on Fox News or MSNBC or CNN, they are going to tell you whatever the most bombastic, outlandish thing that they can say, that's what they're going to give you. Now, those same people who lied to us about the Osama bin Laden raid, who lied to us about Russia collusion, who lied to us about the impeachment, have also been found lying to us about the Capitol attack. All right? They've also been found lying to us about Antifa and all that, but they lie all the time, right? The red line in Syria. I'll give you this example. For something like 60 years, our nation had one rule. If a country uses chemical, biological, or nuclear agents, we're coming for you. Doesn't matter if you use them against us, or you use them against your people, or how you do it, we're coming for you. It was basically open season on you. And it was our message to dictators around the world who would use these horrific weapons on their own people or on their neighbors as a means to gain power and authority, or to hold power. So, believe it was, let me run back the clock, somewhere around 2014, Syria had been popping off for a while. And that morning I wake up and I get told, I see Barack Obama, because I used to have an Xbox Connect, and I'd be like, hey, Xbox on, and it would turn on, and it would tell me, hey, listen to, it would, Fox News would be on or whatever. And there is President Obama giving a speech, a press conference about how, and he says, if Syria crosses the red line, we will act. That afternoon, I am told by somebody I trust that actually we know that they've been using nerve gas on their people, and that we've known for about a year, 6 months to a year, and that we know that Assad had been trading us mustard gas, and telling us, hey, look, we're de-arming, and giving us mustard gas, and using the nerve gas on his own people. The same day the president was on the television telling you, the American people, that, yeah, if he ever does anything, we're going to go right in there. These people, if you don't put them under oath and you don't make them call a lawyer, they're going to lie. They're going to get on TV and say whatever it takes to get what they want. And why am I making this such a big point? Because thousands of Americans came forward saying, I saw this on Election Day. I viewed that on Election night. I was not allowed to do this, which I am lawfully allowed to do during the count. I saw an entire stack of votes. 100% went for Biden. Thousands of people came forward. Not only that, in the aftermath of the election, thousands of people canvassed their jurisdictions. And they walked and they went and talked to people at their addresses of record per their voter registration. So many times, people found that that person no longer lived there. At one instance, the person reported that there was 5 people registered to vote at this one apartment. And that the person currently living there said, yeah, I know some of those guys. 3 of them are in prison right now. And one of them moved out of state. And I don't know the other one. And that's just one example. But there was thousands of people who came forward with things like that. There were private organizations that went through and compared the voter rolls to obituaries in multiple states and found tens of thousands of people who magically voted in the election who had matching obituaries with the same name and birth date. That was on the voter registration record. The obituary matched 100%. Now, they all filed affidavits under penalty of perjury. Now, I've laid out to you why you can't trust CNN, Maxine Waters, I forget her name. Who cares? They're all liars. Obama. Why you can't trust Jeffrey Nadler. Is that his name? Nadler. You can't trust any of them. Any politician or media organization. Unless they're under oath, you can't trust them. And even then, I'd be a little bit sketchy about it. I would be surprised if they answered the question. But we have thousands of Americans who signed affidavits under penalty of perjury. I believe perjury carries federally a 5-year incarceration potential. So when you ask me, when I open up the news this week and I read article after article of people saying, Trump really caused this with these baseless claims, I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised. But since when do they have problems with baseless claims and unfounded accusations? Now, if any one of those people in the media who had talked about Russian collusion or any of that stuff over the last 4 years had gone under oath, maybe I'd give them a second look. But because the thousands of Americans and the millions that went to Washington, I have to say I err on the side of the people who put their lives at risk to tell the truth. I have to, because I've seen too many lies. Now, that said, I think we covered down on that. What I was going to do today was I was going to go over the accusations of election and voter tampering. Right, I was going to do that today, but a friend put me on to what Parlor saw during the Capitol attack, and this is by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and like 31 contributors. So like 36 people. And what they've done is they took data off of Parlor and they put it in real time. They put every video in order that they could get off of Parlor. They classified them gray. Let me make sure that you guys can see what I'm seeing. Gray is for it's around DC. This orangey, yellow, gold color is near the Capitol. And red is inside the Capitol. And what they did was, the time the video was taken, they put them all in order through. Now I got to about 1:40 p.m. and it takes a while to get there. But what it does is it gives you a different perspective and why it's dangerous for us to have a media that's also our press. The press should have been there, right? But the press has become so political that they've spent their time foraging for the right narrative to get their clicks and to get their views, and they haven't spent their time actually doing journalism, because the press is the media, and we need a press. We need a free press. We don't need a media ever. Okay, the world would still exist as it does today without, you know, Barnum and Bailey Circus and the World Wrestling Federation, and it would exist if football was never invented. All right, you would just like a different sport. But the world would not exist without the invention of the printing press. Not as we see it today. We wouldn't, without the movable type printing press, I should say. Gutenberg. We wouldn't have the same world if Thomas Paine wasn't able to write and distribute common sense. We wouldn't live in the same world if we had a media today, like today, as we did in 1776. The Declaration of Independence would never have gotten transmitted across the country. Nobody would have known what was said. It's dangerous to misconstrue entertainment with press. And there's actually a famous Johnny Carson interview on it. So, and I think you guys should see it. It's pretty cool. Johnny Carson on politics. So, Johnny Carson was obviously the Tonight Show. He was the guy. He was the greatest, the GOAT, basically, of Tonight Show hosts. Now, they asked him, you know, why don't you, you know, use your platform, basically. And this is way back in the day, but I'm going to show you. Let's see if I can unmute it.
Based on what you've read. When you come out and do your monologues, which are really based on what you've read, do you go home and worry about things? Do you worry about this country? Are there things that really bug you that you can't say in the air?
You're going to get serious, aren't you?
A little bit.
I think one of the dangers, if you are a comedian, which basically I am, if you start to take yourself too seriously, and start to comment on social issues, your sense of humor suffers somewhere. I've seen other people, whose names I won't mention, who do humor, and then somewhere along the line they start to want to make their views known. I try to do it humorously. I try not to, and we've had some criticism on the show. Some critics over the years says, well, the show has no great sociological value. It's not controversial. It's not deep. The Tonight Show basically is to amuse people, to make them laugh.
Do you get sensitive about the fact that people say, he'll never take a serious controversy?
Well, I have an answer to that. I said, now, tell me the last time that Jack Benny, Red Skelton, any comedian, used his show to do serious issues. That's not what I'm there for. Can't they see that?
But you're not...
Why do they think that just because you have a Tonight Show that you must deal in serious issues? That's a danger. It's a real danger. Once you start that, you start to get that self-important feeling that what you say has great import. And you know, strangely enough, you could use that show as a forum. You could sway people, and I don't think you should as an entertainer.
So, obviously that's Johnny Carson's opinion. But he was talking, towards the end there, you hear him talk about how you can use that forum to sway opinion. Right? The left figured it out with The Daily Show and with the Colbert report that if you made fun of serious issues and you made fun of the guys you don't like or the things you disagree with and made them sound stupid, that you could actually sway public opinion. That was their goal, right? So that's the only reason why CNN is now an entertainment channel and not a news channel. That's why MSNBC is now an entertainment channel and not a news channel. You know, for how much Sean Hannity is like a bulldog. Like, that's probably not the right word. He's unrelenting. Okay? He gets on there, and whatever he believes, it is, I believe this is what happened, I saw that, and it for me, it's overwhelming. I can't watch so much of that. But it's not entertaining. You know, even when he tries to make a joke, he is so deadly serious about what he's saying and what his beliefs are that there's no way you could misconstrue it as not being opinion. You could never go, this is just the news. You would have to. And so to his credit, he's found a way of being that entertainment vehicle and also making it very, very obvious the whole time that this is just my opinion. The left is physically incapable of doing that. They're so comfortable with lying to you that they just can't. And that's why I make this point. Is like it's so important that we as a nation force a differentiation between the press and the media, between the press and entertainment, between there's nothing wrong with having an opinion section of your newspaper. That's fine. But everything else in that paper should be straight across the board. Right? So when you include, and what you'll find is, even in the non-opinion pieces, you'll read it, and they'll say, Trump has put forward claims of election fraud. But they add a word, baseless claims, unfounded claims. They adjective themselves into an opinion. Right? Instead of just calling it straight and saying, we have, to date, the only evidence we've seen is affidavits from people and statistical analysis that we have been too lazy to review, which they'll never tell you, right? Instead, they adjective themselves out of having to do any work. And they put an adjective like baseless, unfounded, false claims, that have been debunked. Right? They love that word these days, debunked. Well, let's talk about debunking really quick. I'm going to do an aside on this. Debunking was essentially created by Houdini, right? He went around debunking people who were mystics, psychics, and things like that, and proving that they were frauds. Okay? That's what debunking is. You don't get to debunk something without disproving it. You have to go in and do the hard yards. You have to do the research. That's the rule. Okay? You can't just say it's debunked like Joe Biden did on the Hunter Biden laptop and then that be the end of it. The job of a debunker is to actually prove it. So when they say they debunked claims of election fraud, when you look at leadstories.com and all these Facebook fact checkers, what they do is they say election officials have said that that's not what happened, or that there was a monitor in the room, or blah, blah, blah. Well, that's like asking O.J. Simpson if he did it and then calling that evidence. If you said, hey, O.J., did you do it before he was before he was tried? You said, hey, did you do it? And he said, nah, I didn't do it. Imagine a newspaper, any journalist in the country going, well, that's that. He said he didn't do it, guys. Our work here is done. It's been debunked. That's the reason why, in order to debunk something, you have to go in and prove it, right? I have not seen one person who went and provided evidence that these data scientists were lying. I have not seen one piece of evidence that said that, no, those obituaries don't match the dead people. I have not seen one piece of evidence that said the underage people who voted in Georgia didn't vote, or that their votes weren't counted, or that their ballots were set aside. There's no evidence that any of the accusations have been disproven. In fact, when they do talk about it, they say that affidavit from that person has been discredited. Now, you go, how's that discredited? Well, the judge said that the person wasn't creditable, wasn't trustworthy, essentially, right? Well, let's talk about logical fallacies real quick. So, these are very, very important in dealing with the media, in dealing with liberals, and also dealing with conservatives as well, all right? They're super important because they teach you the common methodologies people use to say something's wrong or right based on bullshit. So let's go. The straw man fallacy. This fallacy occurs when your opponent oversimplifies or misrepresents your argument, right? So Jordan Peterson had a famous interview with a lady on the BBC, I think it was, and everything he would say, she would come back, so you're saying that women don't deserve a place, blah, blah, blah. She kept trying to take his really complex take on the situation and put it in a jar, say, this is who you are. That's the straw man fallacy. And then, of course, he made her look stupid. That's why he became famous for it, right? I'm not going to use their examples. This is from HubSpot.com. The bandwagon fallacy. Just because a significant population of people believe a proposition to be true doesn't automatically make it true. Popularity alone is not enough to validate an argument. Okay? So, if everybody thinks Obama was a great president, that does not make it true. In fact, there's a reason why we are not a straight-up democracy, where, the number of people who vote for this always wins. Right? There's a reason why we have states and representatives and Congress people and senators and presidents and a judicial branch. Because if it was always the majority rules, the Supreme Court couldn't function. Without the Supreme Court to go, no. I know everybody wants to keep these rights away from black people or Native Americans, but the Constitution says that they have these rights, and you can't do that, right? But if majority ruled, we would never have a Supreme Court. It would have never existed. Popularity alone is not enough to validate an argument. The appeal to authority fallacy. While appeals to authority are by no means always fallacious, they can quickly become dangerous when you rely too heavily on the opinion of a single person. We saw this through COVID. Dr. Fauci, why doesn't Trump trust the experts? Why doesn't they trust Fauci? They should trust Fauci. Yeah, he's the same guy who told us masks don't work. And then later told us that he lied about it because he was afraid people were going to buy up all the masks that they needed for medical professionals. He thought he was so important that he could lie to the American people because he thought it was for the right reason. The false dilemma. This common fallacy misleads people by presenting complex issues in terms of two inherently opposed sides. We see this all the time in America. All right? So, Trump says, I want to build a wall. I want to help out the Border Patrol. It's going to be a big, beautiful wall. He says it in the most ridiculous fashion possible. And then their answer is, so you want to hurt people, right? You're either left or you're right, right? You're either Republican or Democrat. You're either with the George Floyd riots, protests, and everything that comes with that, or you hate black people, right? The false dilemma, right? When the truth of the matter is we're the only country in the world that doesn't try to defend our borders. And we probably should have an enhanced visa program, immigration policy that allows us to bring these people in that employers obviously need to work. There's a middle ground. That pretends that there isn't. The hasty generalization fallacy. This fallacy occurs when someone draws an expansive conclusions based on inadequate or insufficient evidence. In other words, they jump to conclusions about the validity of a proposition with some but not enough evidence to back it up, and overlook potential counter-arguments, right? The hasty generalization is the perfect example of what happened in Georgia. They said, hey, they pulled these ballots out from under the table, and everybody goes, that's enough evidence. I'm not sure about that. What I want is a reasonable explanation for it. The explanation we got from the Secretary of the State is, there was a monitor in the room. Well, I'm sorry. I saw the cameras from every angle. There was no monitor in the room. And also, the monitor is being accused of the wrongdoing. Again, why are you asking OJ if he did it? And using that as evidence. So the hasty generalization happened on both sides. The hasty generalization from the right was they pulled ballots from under a table. That's automatically wrong. We don't know that. Maybe there was something going on. Now, we know it. We can guess it now because of the fact that they've refused to answer. Right? They've essentially pleaded the fifth in the domain of the media. Right? But jumping to conclusions is a bad idea. The other side of it was, well, they said they didn't do it. Hasty generalization. Okay, the slothful induction is the exact inverse. The fallacy occurs when sufficient logical evidence strongly indicates a particular conclusion is true, but someone fails to acknowledge it, instead attributing the outcome to a coincidence or something unrelated entirely. All right? So, there's plenty of evidence to show that... let me see. So, there's plenty of evidence in terms of there's thousands of people who have filed affidavits. There's tons of documentation across the board between Dominion and right? But then they go, well, no, that's just coincidence. That's not enough to overturn the election. That's the slothful induction. Correlation without causation. That is kind of like what the joke I kind of made earlier in the podcast, which is where you go, oh, this is a good one. I'll just do this. Trump said people should come protest at the Capitol, and that caused the riots. Those are two separate issues. The talk about election fraud caused the riots at the Capitol. The baseless claims of election fraud caused the riots at the Capitol. You're correlating two things that don't belong together. What happened at the Capitol, and you'll see the video later, is very, very different than the claims of election fraud. Anecdotal evidence. So, this is in place of logical evidence, this substitutes examples from someone's personal experience, right? So, my personal experience is that I've literally watched the president lie to the American people. You can't buy that, okay? You cannot buy that. That's not enough. That's just an example. Anecdotal evidence is valuable because it provides perspective, right? It fills out the argument. But I also needed to show you literal video evidence of politicians lying to you. Otherwise, I'm just using anecdotal evidence saying this is what's true. And all these have different names. I don't really like that. Personally, I don't like that website's list of them because they have these cute names for them. You don't need that. But ad hominem. So, the ad hominem attack is a logical fallacy associated with trying to undermine the opponent's arguments by personal attacks through attacking their character or skill level. All right? So, there was a young lady in Michigan who went and testified before the Senate committee there that was looking into voter fraud. And she was a bit... she was amped up. She had a lot of energy. Not my favorite. She was funny, but she wasn't like the best, most credible witness in terms of what I felt watching her. That said, the media immediately accused her of being drunk at the when she was testifying. They accused her of being crazy. A lot of different things, right? The court said that because she was not a credible witness, what she saw, she didn't see. The court, right? Now, maybe the judge has the right to do that. But she was one of hundreds of people who filed affidavits in that case. And he said, no, none of these people are credible because she's not credible. They attacked the person, not the evidence. Okay? Did she work for Dominion as a contractor? Yes. Was she there the night of? Yes. Right? Okay, what did you see? That's not valuable, right? Imagine, you know, a drunk person saw O.J. Simpson kill his fucking wife. How valuable would that person be? And of course, the defense would have to make the argument. The defense would have to be like, listen, they were drunk. How could they have possibly seen it? And then the jury figures out, you know, the credibility of the witness. The judge decided the credibility of the witness before it was even a case. They literally sued, and the judge was like, that's not credible. We're just not going to listen to this case. They do this with Trump all the time. Trump does something good, and they go, yeah, well, he's an evil man, so it must be evil. That's why they decide to do evil shit in response, right? That's why no matter what he says, they're going to say the opposite. It's because they believe that an ad hominem attack is actually valid. They believe attacking the person instead of the argument is valuable. That actually is more important, right? This comes out of their intersectional roots, right? Where they believe that if you're the right skin color or the right gender or you fuck the right gender of people based on your gender, then you're more important and you have more value when you speak. That's why they can't help but make the ad hominem attack. It's an old white guy telling me how to live. It must be wrong, right? Anyway, those are logical fallacies. Where was I? Okay, so we know that they lie. We know that we've proven that. We've got thousands of people who came forward who have filed affidavits. The most important thing to take away from that is if they're not under oath, don't believe a fucking word out of their mouth. Not one. Tell them to shut up, go sign an affidavit, and I'll read it later. Too long, didn't read, whatever. I'm not going to watch it and listen to you talk if it's not under oath, because it's valueless to me. This is why Hillary Clinton fights so hard not to get under oath. They've literally put subpoenas. The courts have ordered it. Her lawyers have come back. They fight and they scrape and they claw to make sure she never gets under oath. And they use this thing in Washington where they'll send the person questions in a written form and allow them to answer in written form back. Which, of course, the lawyer peruses and makes sure that they like the answers, that the answers aren't going to get them in any further trouble. And then another lawyer and then another, like 15, 20 lawyers look through it and look for any way in which they could be prosecuted off of what they said. It's valueless. It's not a true interview of the suspect, right? You need to get them under oath. You need to ask them questions, right? But that's the game they played with Hillary, right? This is why she doesn't want to get under oath. Now, we were told the Capitol riots was the saddest day in American history. We were told so much inflammatory language in the last week that I'm literally tired of fucking thinking about it. I've actually turned off the news quite a few days this week, and that's rare for me. Well, let's talk about what is a negative day. 4 years after officers killed in ambush, Dallas struggles to reconcile legacy with the ongoing unrest. This article is from July 6, 2020. 4 years ago, 4 cops were killed in Dallas. Ambushed, murdered. This year, 2 California deputies shot in apparent ambush. Anger and protest follow. You remember Connor Hinnant? If you don't remember him, here's his image. He probably came across your Facebook feed. This cute little boy was shot playing in front of his house by this man. I'm gonna guess. I can't say. He was shot. Forget about him. Right? I'm not gonna make any accusations. Just the first picture I pulled up. In fact, let me find a better one so we don't confuse people. You literally can't find a picture of the kid. Did I spell his last name wrong? No, I didn't.
Now, maybe you haven't heard of this story, but this...
So, trying to find a better picture so it doesn't include anybody else in it. I have one on my computer, but I don't want to dig through the files right now. The point is, this young man, this little boy, was murdered this year because he was white. Do you think that his parents are worried about the Capitol right now? Do you think that was the biggest story of the year to them? What about the people in Florida? The millions, the thousands of people who had their businesses destroyed by these animals. Yelling filth in the street. Dressed like that. Would you want to send your kid to school in a city where people dress like that? Like fucking stormtroopers? And they attack. There's a school bus right there. This is a school bus. And that guy is role-playing a fucking stormtrooper. Do you think they think the worst day of the year was the Capitol attack? Where pretty much every public official was taken out of the building through the tunnels? What about these old people? Do you think walking through, I think it was DC this was taken. Do you think that was a scary night for them? Just trying to get a meal? They probably haven't turned on the news since fucking Ted Koppel was on the air. They literally are just like, what the hell's going on? Because they don't understand the world anymore. And it's all they could do to get their grandkids to visit them. And they went out for dinner, probably the first time in months. And this is what they're greeted with. Modern America. This hero right here. The hero of liberalism. Democratic Party. Paying $15 an hour to protest. Duties include protest activity and holding signs that are anti-Trump. Minorities welcome and needed. 500 people. That's the Democratic National Convention. So the Democrats in Arizona shut down all the low-paying jobs, all the service industry jobs in the state, and then paid those same people $15 an hour to go protest at the Democratic National Convention to show how much they hate Trump. They took people's jobs away. Now that's correlation without causation, but I don't give a shit. When there's smoke, there's fire, man. $15 an hour. You don't have a job. You can't feed your kids. And all you have to do is hold an anti-Trump sign and sound kind of angry. We'll pay you. That's the face of evil in America. They will tell you whatever the fuck they need to tell you to get what they want. And they will do whatever they need to do to get what they want. And they will use anybody that they can use. Useful idiots to get it done.
Looters stormed into lower Manhattan.
Remember? Do you remember? Imagine. Did you see any fires at the Capitol? Did you see anybody running like that? Did you see that at the Capitol? What did you see at the Capitol? Because these are peaceful protests. This is peaceful, guys. You tracking me? So what did you see? White House. Monuments vandalized. Did you see that at the Capitol? Did you see this at the Capitol? Tell me what you saw, guys. $18 murders in one day. 18 murders in Chicago. Breitbart covered it. Bloodiest day in the city's history. You tracking that? Chicago. Basically the home of violent crime in America. Where in the 20s, it was like bootleggers, organized crime. 18 people murdered in one day. Nobody covered it. Except for Breitbart. And I don't even classify Breitbart as a... They're an entertainment organization as well. They'll write on whatever the hell gets clicks. But that happened. Have you guys heard of what's called an Overton window? I got this from a friend. Capitol riot. Lasted several hours, condemned by all Republicans and Democrats, encouraged by only fringe political groups. Police force was used. 1 person shot dead, 14 officers injured, 1 federal building damaged, no small businesses destroyed. Nationwide outrage. BLM riots, left-wing violence, lasted 7 months, condemned mostly by Republicans, encouraged by media and politicians, police force used, 23 plus people shot dead, 700 officers injured, 150 plus federal buildings damaged, hundreds of small businesses destroyed. Hundreds is a low ball estimate. They missed so much in this, but they were just trying to do a one-to-one comparison, right? Your outrage is manufactured, is what they call this. It's just a meme, but it gives you perspective. 14 officers injured, 4 officers ambushed, 2 shot. Happened all over the year. Happens all the time in our country now. Ever since Obama started the hate. That's my opinion. How many police officers died this year? Let's find out. Let's see. This is the Officer Down Memorial page. Total line of duty deaths. 5 people died from cancer related to 9/11 this year. 5 police officers. Assault 1. Automobile crash 20. COVID-19 197. Duty related illness 4. Gunfire. 45 cops been murdered this year. Gunfire inadvertent 5. So 50. Struck by vehicle. Just pulling somebody over the side of the road. Oh, I wonder where the major ones happened. Oh, did it happen to be when the riots fucking came? Keep pretending that the Capitol was the worst thing that ever happened. Now, again, I'm going to come back to this. I'll describe it one more time. This is made by ProPublica, The Insurrection. What Parlor Saw during the attack on Capitol. Right out the gate, I'm going to tell you that is a hugely misleading title. Right? What Parlor saw and what Parlor users saw were 2 very different things. First of all, I was on Parlor that day, just like I was on Facebook and YouTube and watching the news. What Parlor sees and what its users see are 2 different things. Parlor gets everything. Users don't get everything. You have to follow somebody to see what they say, what they share. So I think I follow 100 and something people. I only see 100 and something people's stuff and anything that they echo, which is basically like a retweet, right? So they went and they took videos that were illegally retrieved by somebody else who is a self-described hacker Now they call it, were archived by a programmer before Parlor was taken offline by its web host. Now, I've read other stories from similar outlets who literally said it was hacked. It was completely left exposed during the shutdown of the website. And I cannot buy that that was unintentional. Now, they took 500 videos and they determined that they were taken on January 6th and were relevant and newsworthy. Taken together, they provide one of the most comprehensive records of a dark event in American history through the eyes of those who took part. They got the gray ones around D.C., goldish near Capitol. I'm a little colorblind, not totally. And red is inside the Capitol. So you see you got from noon all the way up to 6 p.m. here. So, let's go. Pretty much the first series of videos are all at the Trump speech, which is not near. Just around D.C., you'll see there's just people talking, chanting, and they say a lot of fucked up shit. Right? They do. I'm not going to hide that. Just like, fuck Biden, da-da-da-da, you know, stop the steal. This guy's a little nuts because, well, he's not nuts. He just talks about, like, you know, they screwed us. You know, there's no way America voted for the guy who fucking touches hairy kids or likes kids touching his hairy legs. Similarly, you're going to get a lot of these, again, gray around D.C. Now, you have to remember that Trump was speaking some point through here. Sorry, the videos are... I think I probably have too many videos open. Let's do this. Let's close out some of these. Plus, there's probably a lot of people looking at this website. Right? A lot of people milling about, kind of like usually people chanting something like fuck Biden or stop the steal. Again, people marching towards the Capitol. These are literally, when you listen to them, you're going to be like, whatever. Now, this is where it starts to get spicy. 12:53 p.m. near the Capitol. Trump is still on the stage talking about how they're going to peacefully amble down to the Capitol. I want you to look at this person. I want everybody to look at this person because I want to find this person. Go full screen. So, if you've ever been at a major event, you probably know that there's areas you're allowed to go, areas you're not allowed to go, and that's all fine, right? But what can happen is once a fence is taken down and you see thousands of people on the other side of the fence, you know, and you don't see any police or whatever, a lot of the times people don't realize that they're not even allowed to go past that thing, okay? So this is at 12, I think, 53. I'll close it out in a second. And the link to all of this will be in the description. Now, this person here is taking this fence down. Now, I don't know who they're associated with. I don't know who they are. But what I would say is that their intent is definitely not good. Because as you can see, all black, face covering, all black, you know, got the flak vest on, right? Now, this is the standard issue where of a certain group in our country, a certain myth in our country, and I just want to know who this person is. If they're a Trump supporter, this is the person that started it all. Because you'll see, they're the first person, and they are taking down this barricade while most of the crowd is still down at the down listening to Trump talk. This person is removing the barricade. And then telling people, they're telling her to stop. Now, I think that's a her. I'm going to guess. I don't know what he or she identifies as, but it looks like a her to me. Or like a small statured guy, right? I just look at the darkness around the eyes and I imagine that's mascara or something. But nonetheless, this person is pulling down barricades. You will see. These people just kind of start walking in. They're like, oh, okay. You know, they're not stressed about it. And people are telling them, don't go. Don't do it. then this guy comes back. This person, that same person is over there telling people to come through. Come through, come through. That's called inciting a riot. All right? That barricade was obviously put there for a reason. That person needs to be under arrest. All right. That's all I'm going to say about it. Find them. It was at 12:53 p.m. near the Capitol. This is the cordon that they had around the Capitol before this person started tearing down the fence and telling people to come through. Once that fence is gone, anybody who shows up later is just going to assume that that fence was not meant to be there. Or they could, they could be like me and just be like, I'm not going anywhere near this. But I'm a different kind of person. Not everybody's like me. But you'll still see 12:56. So this is 53 p.m. at 12:56. You see,
we storming the Capitol.
This is them storming the Capitol. She's calling it, I'm storming the Capitol. Are they storming it? Does that look stormy to you? Do you wear Ugg boots to go storm things? Right? And they're just walk in, and they get up to this area. Now this area is going to become very, very familiar to you. Right? Now, right now, the cops are blocking people from getting into that area, but they're kind of losing the battle, right? They're just chanting, let us in, but they're not demanding. And somehow they get all the way to the footsteps. Now, here are the police. Obviously not, they're kind of like holding the line, but they're not, freaking out yet. Again, now they're standing there inside that very same familiar area. It's going to come up a lot. This is a 12-minute video. Go through it. Come up with what you think, right? This is my take, right? I reviewed a lot of this already, so I'm just going through what I remember. You're going to see around, I would say 1:20, 1:30 in the afternoon, the police start using tear gas on people. Also, either smoke bombs or tear gas grenades start going on people. So pepper spray first, and then whatever. Now, if you had become familiar, as I have, with how the riots worked in Portland and all over the rest of the country, was they would say this protest has evolved into a riot. They'd have a bullhorn, and they would tell everybody, you need to disperse. This is your final warning. Blah, blah, blah. In all of these videos, I did not hear that. In fact, I heard some jackass on a bullhorn telling them the Capitol Police have been ordered to cease and desist using tear gas. Like, you're just causing problems, because now he's trying to give orders to the police as one of the people. And you hear these people, they talk about, it's our house. It's our house. Now, you may disagree with that. I don't know how I feel about that. The truth of the matter is, like, that's American property. And if we are not allowed, I don't know. I'm just kind of like, why aren't they allowed up there? Is it dangerous for the politicians? I don't know. Like, I'm not sure I'm okay with people not being allowed to go and view official government functions that are not classified, right? But nonetheless, you'll hear it. Watch the videos. People start climbing stuff. You see them. This is the scaffolding that they're putting up for the inauguration. People start climbing up there so they can get video and da-da-da. And I think some guy gets up there with a bullhorn. Now, at some point, I think might be this video. Yeah, this guy gets up here. The cops chase him down. Go pull him out of there. This guy does like a circle. Gives you a view. Like, people are with selfie sticks just chilling. Now, if you go to the Antifa riots, they don't use cameras. I don't go to them, but I've viewed enough of them. They get mad at people who use cameras. Because they know what they're doing is wrong. All right? When people know what they're doing is wrong, they don't want evidence. Again, more people ambling in. People are still marching around D.C. You see this guy? This is the guy who became famous, right? And he's walking down the street, and he's yelling freedom. I'll play it.
USA! 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 USA!
It's kind of a weird way that they did the website, because it automatically mutes it.
USA!
So they yell freedom, the crowd yells back freedom. This goes on for a while. Alright? Here we are back at the Capitol. The police are still down here. Now, I do not know if the police ever exit that location. Okay? I do not know. At some point, either smoke grenades or tear gas comes firing in. And it's just kind of disconcerting. So, this girl is like, I'm fighting for freedom. Let's hear what she has to say about it.
And that we found out was they broke down the fence back there. Other people broke down the fence, and we are on the lawn of the Capitol. Look how beautiful this is behind me.
She's literally taking in the sights.
We are making our voices heard. This is our land. They can't fence us out. We pay their taxes. We pay their salary.
I don't know.
And we are walking up.
So she just walks up, and then she's like, all right, I gotta shut it off. I gotta climb this little... It was like a little wall about the height of a desk. This is where it starts to get hairy. I think we're coming up on 106. Again, a lot of people just milling about. People get a flag out. In multiple different locations, you hear people singing the national anthem, shouting USA.
No other person in America.
This is back at Trump is still talking. It's 1:06 p.m. He's still talking. And this is down at the Capitol. Random people taking video. Trump's talking. 108. Let's see what's happening. More people milling about. You'll hear people far, far away from the Capitol talking about, like, yeah, we're going to storm it, da-da-da. Like, they're talking like they're talking on the internet. People talking shit. Here you can actually see, now, if it comes up, I forget his name, Alex Jones is here. This is Alex Jones. Somebody took a video. He's on some street corner. You can see it's in around D.C. video. So he's not at the Capitol. If anybody says he was at the Capitol, this is where he was at 1:10 p.m. after people already broke through the barricades, right? And he's just talking. I can't really make out what he's saying. I think people are just excited to see him. They're like, holy crap, that's Alex Jones. He's just standing there on a street corner. Now, here's that same fence from earlier. This is from the other side of the same... You see this guy right here, right? Let's go to it. So over here was where the video was being taken from earlier, right? Where this guy is standing. And this is that little platform or whatever. And the barricades were right here. The fence was here, and the barricade was down. Now, where's the fence? It's here, right? The whole thing's been pushed back. People are just sitting, chilling, bullshitting, talking like it's fucking Woodstock. It's ridiculous. They're chilling out, right? I can't remember this one. I'm going to try to climb down some so it doesn't overwhelm. So, fuck you, Joe. A lot of weird chants like that. Joe's in his basement. He can hear you. Trump's, this is him at the end of his speech, 1:11 p.m. And he's, saying thank you to the crowd, waving, blah, blah, blah. At some point, you'll see Ivanka getting her motorcade, which I could literally watch that woman walk all day. I'm a fan. This is somebody who just had a good angle of it and everything. Okay, here's Ivanka leaving. Oh, don't want to get a strike. I'm going to turn down the volume. There she is. Beautiful conservative woman. Blows a kiss to the crowd. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Blah, blah, blah. That might be Kayleigh McEnany. Not sure. Again, another crowd picture. Now here, I'm not sure where this is exactly. It says it's around D.C. And I think they're just yelling at some cops in front of this building. Not cool. Do your job. Like, they are doing their job, right? Now here's interesting, right? I've never seen this in Portland or the New York riots or any of the other riots that occurred. Over here on the left, you're going to see basically, I don't know what you want to call it, a formation of riot gear laden police. And over here, you're going to hear some people yelling, and they're saying, hey, can we just go through there? I'm just going that way, da-da-da-da. Like, still pretty amicable, right? Like, no violence occurring, but I just thought it was interesting. They were like, hey, are we allowed to go that way? Like, you know when you drive down the street and there's a cop, like, directing traffic, and you're like, oh, what's going on? I don't know. Maybe I should ask him. It was literally like that. And then towards the end, I actually burst out laughing because there's an old man on a Segway. But let's watch.
Looks like now's a good time to hear.
So here you got. And you hear the guy, yeah, I just need to go right there. And the cops actually step aside. And they just see, he's like, I just gotta go right there. Don't hit me. don't kill me. And a bunch of people are like, okay, I'm getting out of here. Right? People are leaving. They're like, I don't want any part of that. Right? This is not Gestapo tactic shit. Right? There's the guy on the Segway. I don't know why. It just makes me laugh because I think it caught the cameraman's eye too. He just rolls through. That was a big day. That's the kind of attitude that was going on at 1:18 p.m. near the Capitol. Now here, this is where I kind of started to go, what's up with this? Now, I don't mess with a whole lot of guns. I think I fired a weapon 4 times in my life. A couple of rifles, a couple of handguns, all for work. And one rule is you don't point unless you aim to at a person unless you're pulling the trigger. Okay. Now I get it. He or she is using some sort of paintball or pepper gas ball, non-lethal round. Right. I promise you, if you take it to the eye, it's gonna hurt. But also you're pointing, right? So you got your shield up, you're way up on the high ground, and you're pointing your weapon. This guy keeps his weapon pointed throughout the entire video. Their weapons are over the rail at the crowd. Okay? Now, she's yelling, get back. Okay. This is where I started to question, are there still police down there holding the cordon? If so, like, what's going on? I don't really know.
Fuck you! The gas is coming over.
People start to get mad. You know, they're standing around milling about. And they start to get mad. Because they're having guns pointed. That's how I would feel. Of course, I wouldn't be mad. She was yelling at them, get back. Somebody in a position of authority should have had a bullhorn out here. These police were obviously unprepared. I don't know if maybe the Capitol Police just don't deal with many incidents because nobody really tries anything. But I can't say for sure. But they weren't managing this crowd in any meaningful way that I could see. Let's see. What do we got here? This is another around DC. Again, most people have no clue what's going on. You hear people say weird things. A lot of people obviously don't understand how the process was meant to work that day in terms of the government, the words they were using. So this is people looking onto that same area that we were just talking about from the grass. And, you know, mostly just people waving flags, saying really like things like that. This guy's really, really happy to be here.
Thank you to all of you who
donated money to him to get him there. He's like, hey, I'm excited.
All of you who donated to get me here.
And he's just walking down the street. Now here is where it gets extra tasty spicy. Because now, at this point, these people, it's 1:25 p.m. These people have been here for quite a while. Right? So, sorry, 1 second. Now these people have been here for quite a while. Right? They've been in the same spot for a long time. And around this time, things start to get hairy. Because they're not moving, they're not pushing in this zone. You will see videos where they are pushing to get in. But it's not right here, right? So this guy is an idiot and asks for trouble. Now, odds of the police officer actually being able to hear him from there. And so, just watch, I guess. see why I was asking, were the police still down there? Because if that's tear gas and the police threw it, I didn't hear any warnings. I didn't hear a bullhorn. I didn't hear shit, right? But it also doesn't look like it came from on high where those police officers are gathered. It looks like it came from down here. And you'll see another video later where a guy's like, I saw the dude in the red hat do it. So this guy says, keep them coming, which means it's probably already happened once. And there it comes. So, why is that happening? I can't really tell. Nothing changed. Let's see.
Take our house!
So they start chanting, it's our house. Now, at this point, you have to understand. This video is 1:25 p.m. This video is 1:25 p.m. But ProPublica said that they put them in the order in which things occurred. Okay? That's what they're saying. So, if that's inaccurate, please let me know. But this is the order, right? We've watched as they've stood around the same area for fucking 30 minutes, and then this thing gets lobbed into them, into the crowd, which apparently was the second one, and then people start chanting, this is our house. So now the crowd's getting agitated. They're being attacked. Should they have been where they were? No. Should there have been police guarding that barricade? Absolutely. When you have over 1 million people in your city, and you know they're coming here, literally the president said it, you should have been ready. That said, does that give people permission to do the wrong thing? No.
Support Blue Lives Matter. We represent Blue Lives, and this is what they do to us.
See, like, people are upset. Like, they've been out there in the streets fighting for police across the country. And they start to get upset because the police are doing this to them. And they're going, we're not these guys. We're not the fire burning, cop killing, stormtrooper, child assaulting. We're not that. We're the guys who support you. And they get upset. And then, let's see what happens here. So this is far away again. Again, everybody's just milling about. This guy is part of the internet problem. So he's on the internet and he's talking about how, yeah, we're storming the thing. Dude, you're just walking along and other people are doing it. Watch. Listen to this.
Inbound Washington, D.C. Blocking the doors. Won't let us in. We got to storm the place.
See?
We're going in.
This is why we needed a law that says the First Amendment applies equally online as it does off. The same rules you have walking down the street should be the same rules you have when you're intentionally posting something on the internet or on TV. So when this guy is inciting a riot, he knows people all over that city are on Parlor right now. And he's saying, we got to storm it. We got to do it. We got to go storm it. He's inciting a riot through the internet, right? The world has changed. He has freedom of speech. And on the internet, apparently, he has freedom to say that. But he shouldn't. If he was saying that to the crowd on his microphone, he would get arrested. Instead, he's saying it to millions of people, potentially. This is the problem with letting Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon say the shit they say and calling it freedom of the press when it's entertainment, A, and B, when they're inciting violence. This guy should be under arrest, but not until Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon get arrested. This is why we need equal protection on the internet as we get in public. We need protection from people like this, and we need protection from Nazis on the left. So, here's the other side of the Capitol.
We're here outside.
She apparently thinks that Trump's motorcade is going to come in any second. I believe by this point, and I'd have to look it up, the bomb threats have already come in, and potentially, if not, they will be coming in the next 30 minutes. Early in the reporting, there was reports of 2 bomb threats, And that's what caused them to actually clear the Congress people out through the tunnels. That's what they were reporting at the time. That narrative changed after the fact. They were evacuated because of the people coming in. And these are the things that concern me, right? Is why was there a disparity between the real-time information coming in and then the narrative after the fact? So she's at the back. It's pretty quiet. I think up here we're going to... This is where I start to get mad at the crowd, right? So here you got... Come on. Sorry, guys. I can't make it do things that I can't make it do. All right, let's go up and then down one time. All right. Turn the volume. I'm going to go full screen for this one. Come on. Because it matters. Oh, come on. So you got this jerk down here, right? Now he's trying to be cute. Let me show you how he's trying to be cute. See, he's backing into the cage. He's backing into the barricade. And he thinks... It becomes apparent that his plan... And the guy who... I don't know if it's the guy holding the camera or somebody near him is shouting, you know... Do it, you know, push him back or, you know, hold the line or whatever. And this is what's happening. Is this guy's backing into the cage. So he's like non-violent aggressiveness. It's the most lame version of trying to storm something I can imagine. But I guess if you're going to try to do it, that's what you do. Anyway, let's try to watch it. I can't get it to go full screen for some reason, but... Drag him over the barricade now. And they immediately give him water. Which I think is awesome. I think he's already been pepper sprayed. Anyway, you've got people in riot gear, you've got police up front. This guy starts indiscriminately spraying pepper spray, which is not a good look for police. Just trying to get people back at this, but, you know... this weird amalgam of mostly people just standing around cheering it on and just one guy being a dick, like an actual like physical dick. This guy, I think over here one of these guys starts yelling at the police. Maybe this guy, I'm not sure. You know, he's videotaping like they're gonna go to jail for protecting the Capitol or something. I don't know. Anyway, so later on you'll see this guy again. This is a different angle. This is from where we were before. But you see them bringing the barricades out. You see Arizona flag. Like it. I don't like that. Don't mess with the American flag. Stop it. I don't like it when they made a Blue Lives Matter flag. But you see the cops bring the barricades out. Saying, hey, don't come here. They've built up a force around this area. Trying to hold back. Most of these people are just milling about. I don't know why this guy's handing a stick over. I don't know if he's handing it over or if he's fighting it, but there's that guy again. This guy right here. Same backy-uppy guy. He likes to back into the barricade, right? I imagine he figured out that if they spray pepper spray, he can't. It'll go past him to some extent. He definitely takes a beating from it. Not like a physical beating. But whoever was trying to like, I don't know, it looks like they might have been like, hey, get this stick out of here. It's dangerous. I don't know what was going on, but they also might have been trying to attack the police. I just say, if I had a 12-foot long stick and I was going to attack somebody, I wouldn't come at them with it sideways. So let's go back to that real quick. So you see the stick. Like, it doesn't look like they're being aggressive about it, but the cop's like, no, get the hell out of here. And then things get hairy, right? People are backing up. You have to understand, nobody on either side really knows what the fuck anybody's thinking or doing right now. You know, they just start fighting each other. And you hear some guy, hold the line. Not good. still, I haven't seen a fist thrown. I haven't seen a weapon on either side, really. Like, this is around D.C. Most people don't have a clue what's happening. Still, this is right at that fence we were at earlier. These people are walking to the Capitol, completely unaware of what they're about to step into. Short video. Here's another marching down the street. Still, people, you know, now you see the crowd, right? Trump's left. They're marching towards the Capitol. Things are already dicey down at the Capitol. Let's see, more people. Again, just kind of milling about. People are shouting.
I'm in the bunker underneath this bitch. Underneath this bitch. To the swamp. They got him in the bunker underneath this bitch.
So that's true probably by this point. They've already moved them through the tunnels.
I think fucking America's...
Now, you have to imagine. So this is... What time did the first smoke grenade go off? You know, we're talking, it's just 10 minutes, guys. There's a lot of video for 10 minutes, but it's all coming in, right? And these people are actually pretty far away. They can't, from what was going down out over there. Just taking video. Again. See what's happening here. So as far away, let's see if we get it here. Kind of get a feel for the distance, right? Because, you know, like earlier, we were obviously a little bit closer to these guys, right? These are people who are filed in later, and they're further away. And now the crowd's getting really compressed into this area, and you see the smoke, right? Now I do not know if it was tear gas. If so, there should have been a warning, and then boom, incendiary device comes in of some sort. And then again, it's going to happen again. This is the same crowd. People are getting hurt.
Fucking training! Fucking training!
So now the crowd automatically assumes that this is the police doing it, right? I don't know about that at that point. At this point, because I can't see how, from the distance, you know, that maybe if the police are still on the ground, maybe they could have thrown that or launched that somehow. But when you watch them come, that looks like it's coming from the center of the crowd. Right, so there it is. I don't know if you can track it. I don't know if the quality's high enough. So, where's that coming from? Is that the police? Or is that a shit stirrer, right? Because it's not... I don't have enough experience with tear gas to speak of it, right? I don't think police use smoke grenades, like to you know, hey, you know, we're going to put a smoke bomb out there. I don't know that they do that unless they're trying to, like, take a building. But what I would say is that, like, it seems like this is coming from somewhere else. And this is what I was thinking as I was watching it earlier. All right?
This is democracy. This is what you get with rule of the mob.
So people are obviously mad, right? You can hear them getting angrier and angrier. They were pretty chill. They're getting angrier and angrier. Is that right? Like I said, I don't know where those attacks are coming from. If it's coming from the police, I got to say, if I was there, I'd probably feel the same way. But here you hear this guy say, you know, this is what you get for the rule of the mob. I talked about it earlier, right? we let Antifa take over our cities, blah, blah, blah. And they said, oh, it's just, people standing up for their rights and blah, blah, blah. These people are not doing anything near on par with what the people in Portland did, or New York, or Minneapolis, and so, but they're taking the tear gas, right? Or they're taking these bombs. And I think in this video, you hear somebody say, like, let's just watch it.
That's what democracy is.
We pay for you pussy bitches!
Seriously?
We move forward. No, sir, it's not possible.
Everybody that's standing out here.
Amen.
Guy goes, can you move forward? And then another guy goes, no, sir, that's not possible. Like, this is the simultaneously the most polite and least polite protest in the history of the country.
Keep pushing, Patriots! Keep pushing, Patriots!
There's another one.
So that guy there, keep pushing, Patriots.
Oh, that's Antifa. Look!
Patriots!
There's another one.
Now, you got the smoke grenade. It goes off here, right? It's either a smoke grenade or some kind of incendiary device. I don't think it's tear gas. I feel like tear gas would cover a larger area when these things go off. This whole area should be engulfed in tear gas. If the police were launching these things, it should probably be tear gas. And if it's tear gas, it would take up a larger space. So I felt all along watching this that somebody else was doing this. Somebody else was launching these things. Trump supporter, Antifa, I don't know. But what I will say is this does not appear to be the actions of police officers. Now you can see here, actually, this is the first time I'm noticing this. There are police on the ground. So let's run this back.
Amen. Keep pushing, Patriots! Keep pushing, Patriots!
There's another one.
There's another one. So this guy's going to call out. There's a person in a red hat who did it. That's what he says, right? Listen.
Oh, that's Antifa. Look, the red hat backwards. I saw him do it.
I saw him do it. He said, that's an Antifa. Look, red hat backwards. I saw him do it.
It's a red hat backwards. Get the Antifas. Red hat backwards.
Get the Antifa,
red hat backwards. I saw him do it. Red hat backwards.
What they're saying is, and this is one of the more interesting things about the whole dynamic with these riots and these protests, not just in the Capitol, but in general, is this belief that that's not me, right? You see people in the Democratic Party during the George Floyd and throughout the summer saying, well, that's not us, that's somebody else, right? And you hear this gentleman, and he automatically assumes that this guy in a red hat is an Antifa. That's what he calls him. That's Antifa, right? His assumption is that could not possibly be a Trump supporter, because a Trump supporter would never do that. Similarly, the Democrats go, no, though, that's not Black Lives Matter, that's Antifa, because Black Lives Matter wouldn't do that. They immediately start trying to explain their side's lack of culpability in the problem. Now, is it Antifa? Is it a Trump supporter? Is it somebody else with an ulterior motive? I don't know. But this gentleman seems to believe that that was not a police officer doing that. Okay? He said, I saw it. That was not a police... he said that was an Antifa. Red hat backwards, right? So, he is now sort of like, if we're to believe him, he's confirmed that these are not coming from the police. And judging from these police officers here, right next to it, I can't imagine that they would be lobbing these into the crowd like that. These are police.
Why can't we pull them out of here?
He wants them to pull them.
Put Antifa down. I saw him do it and jump around.
So it's only going to get worse from here, right? We have incendiary devices going off of some sort, right? They don't appear to be tear gas. We have police officers pointing fucking paintball guns at people that probably have some kind of non-violent, non-damaging ammunition attached to them. And then you've got, the Capitol Police on the high ground. You've got police milling about while people are taking incendiary devices to the head and shit. It's not going to go well. right? Because some of these people, you've heard them say, like, they believe the police are doing it. And other people believe it's Antifa doing it. And everybody's coming into disarray about it, right? Because at that point, if you're surrounded by the enemy, where do you go? Right? Somebody, whether or not they did it intentionally, somebody was stirring the pot. Somebody was riling up this crowd, right? If the police were accidentally doing it because they thought they were doing the right thing, there's videos in here of people like being tear gassed, people washing their eyes out, and the guy's like, they tear gassed me. He's like, like whatever, He's just pouring water in his eyes. He's not mad at the cops, and that was earlier, and I missed it. It must have been somewhere in here, but something's agitating this crowd. Those little incendiary devices are definitely not helpful. These people milled about for 30, 40 minutes before any of that started happening. Hands up, don't shoot. So now the crowd is fully of the mind that the police officers are the ones doing it. This is that same building from earlier where they were like, do your job, blah, blah, blah. Near Capitol. So I think there's a guy up here on the bullhorn, and he's telling the police, like, you've been ordered to stand down and cease throwing tear gas. So the guy's like saying, hey, the cops are being told to stand down and cease throwing tear gas. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if he's an official entity, but it's unhelpful when he's trying. That message actually sounds like it might have helped calm the crowd down, and then somebody lights off another one. Who did it? Don't know. Hearing it? Let me know and I can adjust it. Alright. So I think this might be another one of those guys. So more people are marching down the street. They're still talking about, like, hey, don't let Joe Biden be confirmed. This guy's just...
Some of you may have seen it online. It went over all the voter fraud.
He's like, I saw Trump. I'm excited. He like, away from the Capitol, 1:38 p.m., people are still very chill. They don't know what's happening, right? Even though all those incendiary devices have gone off. And you can start to see the smoke, So here we are at 1:39 p.m. Our people have been taking bombs of some sort, small ones, obviously, to the head, and they're singing the national anthem. This is not what it was made out to be on my television. It was more like everybody just lost their minds. So this is from around DC. People marching, talking. Somebody trying to advertise their book, I'm going to guess. Let's see what's happening here. More people singing the national anthem. Typically, I would stand up.
Oh, until you decide to side with these people, with us, then this is good.
So this guy, I don't really know if it's a good idea to ever talk to a police officer, much less get in their face about anything. But he's trying to tell them to, like, side with the people. I don't like police generally. It's not that I don't back the blue. I do. But I don't like, I try not to deal with them, right? Like, just the nature of the way I grew up is, like, if the police are around, something's going wrong. I've never been in a circumstance in which I was talking to a police officer and it was a good thing for me. So I just try to avoid those kind of circumstances. Let's see what's happening here. So the cops are rushing over. So one of the problems with the way ProPublica did this is that they acquired the videos, but typically when you post a video on Parlor, what you'll do is you'll say something. You'll give context. You'll let us know what was going on in the video. You don't get any of that. Because all this data was hacked, I believe somebody just downloaded as much video as they could before they got out. And like I said, ProPublica calls them a programmer, but in other articles they've openly stated that they were a hacker. So, interestingly, I kind of like my ears perk, not my ears, but if my eyes could perk up, I guess. My guess is what's going on in this video. Let's go back to the beginning. It's only 22 seconds anyway. You see the police rushing over. There's a barricade being used.
Trying to get to the people's house.
Okay, so they're trying to rush the officers somehow. The police are trying to hold the barricades in place. My guess would be the reason why that's so important here is you see all these cars? These are all executive vehicles, right? This is how, many of these politicians would be planned to exit or enter the facility, I'm going to guess. And their job is to hold that ground, right? Now, you might ask, why would they be holding it so far away? The thing is that when you're trying to hold a cordon, you need to make sure that there's enough space around the vehicles, right? Not just for them to move, but also if one person slipped through and slapped a bomb on that vehicle or whatever, even if you didn't know, now every vehicle has to be inspected, validated, verified. It's concerning, right? So they have to hold this cordon quite far away, which is going to be extremely difficult for these police officers because they've got these tiny barricades that work well for a county fair. They don't work well for, these people are not doing the right thing. They're pushing the barricades, right? They should not be. They know they shouldn't be. And they're not making these police officers' job any easier. They're only making their lives harder and the police's job harder. And they're also making Trump's lives harder and my life harder. So they're not being helpful, whoever those people are. But when I see the black, that's when I start to get worried because, I don't know if they're police. I don't know if they're fucking Antifa, because that's part of Antifa's game is to confuse things, right? But when you look, most people don't want any part of it. They just start backing the fuck up. This guy's like, hey, what's going on over here? I'm sure once he saw it, he was like, I'm out.
Pepper spray, rubber bullet guns.
All of these.
I haven't seen this yet, so let's see what they have to say. There's a timestamp from it. This is 1:45 p.m.
Throwing Capitol steps.
Where'd the volume go?
With pepper spray, throwing Capitol steps. Sitting up with pepper spray, rubber bullet guns.
All of these everyone that you see here has taken it.
You're on the throwing Capitol.
So, literally everybody's on their phone. I remember at the time, when I was watching on Parlor and things like that, because the news wasn't actually covering it. They were literally like, "We're far away. We can't get close to it." Literally, if they couldn't get close to it, why? These people got close to it. But nonetheless, everybody's got a phone out. Everybody's talking about what they're seeing. This guy's saying, we got pepper sprayed. We got police shooting rubber bullets. It's concerning to me, but also, not. Part of it is that he's saying pepper spray and then they're shooting rubber bullets. Who's throwing those little grenades? I want to hear from the police,
Steps.
Anyway. So again, we're behind those vehicles. This is that same corner. You see, I think this is from another angle. And again, mostly everybody's just chilling. 1, 2, 5, 7. Having a cordial conversation right here. Again, I don't know where all the hype came that these people were crazy.
Fight for Trump! Fight for Trump! Fight for Trump!
Again, fight for Trump. Standing around the same area that we've seen a dozen times. 148. Let's see.
Capitol Police, they tried to blame the crowd. They were hitting like
Let's hear what this guy has to say, huh?
Capitol Police that tried to blame the crowd. They were hitting like people in the can in between.
Alex Jones.
Here's the third layer of security. Make some space on the left side.
Capitol Police that tried to blame the crowd. They were hitting like people in the can in between.
Here's the third layer of security. Make some space on the left side.
Okay, so it sounds like somebody's trying to explain to Alex Jones what's happening, saying that, the Capitol Police are hitting people, blah, blah, blah. And then these look like his security professionals. They, plain clothes, just chilling, surrounding him, making sure that he stays safe. If I was Alex Jones, I would have them as well. But I'm not that famous. Now, so you can see, but here's the thing. Maybe that story's true. Maybe it's not, right? You don't know. And that's the problem with not having a real press. We're getting everybody's opinion of what's happening. And the only fact we can draw away from this is that it was too complicated. It was too complicated to just draw a conclusion within a minute of this happening. Even like on Parlor, the average user would never see most of this. I didn't see any of this. Any of it. From the girl dressed like an Antifa pulling down the barricade to Alex Jones, I didn't see any of it. All right, I saw little videos, but the reports that were coming through were on Parlor from my feed were that nobody could get any video out. Nobody could get any because there was too many people. The cell towers were overran, and so that was what I was getting. You were getting like little pieces and looking for more because everybody wanted to know what was happening. Let's see.
That wasn't a mistake. No, I was praying for a cop and shot me in the face. That doesn't surprise me. I was up here peacefully praying for a police officer when I was shot in the face with a flashbang grenade. I can't hear out of my left ear. I have second-degree burns on my face. My hair caught on fire. I can barely see out of this side. I know. I'm John. I'm not doing shit.
That's the first time I'm seeing that. It's not good, right? This is not a good look for police. This is not a good look for anybody. Like, a great many of the people who were there really believed in what they were doing. Like, they weren't trying to storm in and break down barricades and whatever. They just wanted the voice of the people to be heard, right? Like so many people at the Black Lives Matter protest. There's nobody at an Antifa protest who's there for the right reason, all right? But at Black Lives Matter, I believe that a great many people showed up, and Antifa abused that, and some militants within the Black Lives Matter movement abused it. But like this gentleman, he's like, I was just trying to pray for a cop, man. Like, okay. Like, I don't really understand why you would there, of all places, but see what's going on here. Now the crowd's getting mad. Everything that's happening. Now this is where, like, I haven't seen this yet, but this when I start to see that kind of body movement, I get scared. Now I get anxious because you can see how people in the back are trying to take a step forward. People up front are trying to stay still. You know, imagine you're this guy right on a cop, and you're just like trying to like have a conversation about like, hey, like, you know, whatever your bad idea of a conversation with a police officer is, you know, you should be helping us out. Why are you helping them out? Blah, 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 right? But he's just trying to have that conversation. Maybe we don't know. Maybe he's just being a dick. But what I'm saying is, imagine you're up there, and you're like, you're on the wrong side. You know, Trump supporters have been supporting you, and why are you, you know, why didn't you call in sick today or something, right? That's, yeah, I mean, if I was going to have a conversation, that would be the conversation I'd have, probably. I would never have a conversation with a police officer that I didn't need to have. But if I was going to have it, that would be it. And imagine now people start pushing from behind you. You're in a recipe for disaster, because what can happen is you can get pushed forward into a cop, and he's going to take, he might totally understand that you got pushed, but this guy right here might have no fucking clue. And he just might see something out of the corner of their eye, you rushing a police officer, and jump in. And now everybody does, right? So when I start to see this body language of people pushing forward, this guy right here, he's obviously not paying attention to what's happening behind him or in front of him. He's looking up. Not good. Yeah. Okay, so those guys are pushing. I called it, didn't I? I called it. that body language was the moment. Not good. Not good. And you saw it all in the body language. Like, whoever tells you that body language isn't a real, like, talent or art, dude, if you've been in enough shit, your instincts tell you exactly what's brewing, right? I know when to leave a bar. I know when to step the fuck outside. I know when to find a corner. I know when to use the restroom, like, just to get away, because I don't like being involved with drama, right? There's no way I would have been anywhere near this. I would have loved to have been able to support Trump and share what I've found through the process, but it wouldn't have been worth it, obviously, right? Like, there's no solid communication method. It's not a good idea to call 2 million people to one place at a time without a plan to communicate to them at all. Now, Trump had a plan to communicate with them all, but after he set them loose towards the Capitol, there was no agency, there was no leader of the group saying, hey guys, this is the plan. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. This is the plan. We're going to stay at the cordon. We're going to chant. We're going to play music. We're going to listen to la la la. We're going to let Alex Jones speak or whoever speak. We get all these people like they did at the Million Man March, where you have a podium and you discuss on the mall or wherever. Bring evidence forward, right? Whatever. They should have done that. Hindsight's 2020. Whatever, right? See what happens here. This is 1:49 p.m. So, in less than 40 minutes, we've gone from people singing the national anthem. Actually, less than 7 minutes. It was 42 after, I believe. Let's go back. 42 after, they were singing the national anthem in the same spot. Anyway, I'm not going to go back to it because there's too much to see. Mostly chill to this video where they bum rush the fucking police, right? Now, this is after 20 minutes of people taking incendiary devices, tear gas, and apparently rubber bullets were fired. Now, we know that pepper spray, no, not tear gas. It's either an incendiary device or tear gas, right? Because we saw the explosions. Not enough smoke for me to think it's tear gas, but I'm not an expert on such things. Then you see the pepper spray being used, and at one point somebody says that they were using rubber bullets on him. Now this guy has one of the police officers' shields, which creeps me out. Mostly still people just standing around, even though the same minute people are bum rushing police officers somewhere else. Same spot. God damn it. So now people are flooding up the stairs. I don't know where that leads to. I'm not an expert on the Capitol that way. But literally, everybody's got their phones up taking video, so we'll probably see a lot of these. Couple of things I have here is I don't like this. I don't like this whole dynamic. These people down here They're really, really fucking up. And, you know, they, in the aftermath of all this, they said that Donald Trump caused this. The problem is that Donald Trump couldn't have. He was the one who was against this very behavior. Don Lemon caused this. Chris Cuomo caused this. Rachel Maddow caused this. Nancy Pelosi. Go down the line. Over the last year, we have watched people do far worse things than create like a quasi mosh pit trying to go up a set of stairs and not get shot. Right? Now, am I saying back then the police should have wholesale opened fire on people? No, right? But what I am saying is that that whole catch and release thing that they were doing with criminal activists, terrorists in Portland, where they would arrest them and then let them go, showed us that there's no punishment for violating the law as long as you can call it speech. And these idiots here are going, well, fuck them. They're not going to shoot me. And this guy is just proving it. But Chris Cuomo called for this. He's the one who incited the violence. He said, cops won't shoot at you, basically, right? Kamala Harris bailed people out for doing this same exact thing. Our apparently vice president paid for people to do this. When you bail somebody out of jail for doing this, you're paying for them. You're paying them to do it. That's what you're doing. Bail costs money. You're doing it. You paid for it. You paid for a service. Services rendered. Thank you, ma'am. I don't like this. You know, it's getting worse. Now they're up at the scaffolding. Okay, more people just milling about. Even if they're not trying to do anything, they just keep encroaching, and that's not good. But they're gaining ground, and it starts to make them feel good about what they're doing. I don't like it. Let's see what Alex does.
USA! 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 USA!
Lock your islands down!
I salute you! Tell everyone you know, go to the other side of the Capitol! That's where Trump's gonna be!
Lock your islands down!
So he's, you know, my guess is he's telling them, hey, support the president. Go do that, right? Now, I can't go through this all day, right? The truth of the matter is we are at 1:54 p.m. This goes until 6 p.m. And as you can see at the slider up here, let me make sure you can see what I'm talking about. As you can see at this slider up here, it gets really dense through this area. I'm really dense, right, through this whole zone. There's less videos, and then there's less videos. But right here is where all the big stuff happens. And if I zoom in, you'll see these red dots are where people are inside the Capitol. So I'm intrigued in seeing that, and I'd like to continue that tomorrow if everybody's cool with it. I think that's probably where we need to go. So I'm going to take a note of the timestamp we're at, 1:57 p.m. Let's do that. I might come back later and do some more of this. I might save it for tomorrow. I'm not sure. But thus far, what we've seen is looks like millions of people doing millions of people shit. Mass miscommunication about what was going on, about what's happening. Most people here still believe at this point at 1:57 p.m. You can tell just from the nature of the videos is that they're just out here supporting Trump on a cold day in D.C. There are people, and you can see them agitating now. You can also see the police were agitating. This cop right here, I do not like this. Where'd he go? This guy, standing up here on the scaffolding in a position of relative safety, shooting people. I don't care if it's rubber bullets. He obviously had no intention of stopping anything there. He wasn't going to stop him from coming in. He was having fun. he should be arrested. Okay? There's no benefit. He was targeting a single person or a small group of people, potentially at the front. There should be an investigation into exactly what he thought he was doing at the time. If only because this video exists. He like wholesale opens fire on this group of people here. It's not helpful. What was his intent? What was the goal there? Because he literally just goes, all right, I'm out of bullets, and turns around and walks away. What was he doing it for? He wasn't going to stop all this many people with that. It wasn't a device designed to scare away hundreds of people or even 30 people. It's a weapon designed to halt one person in a non-lethal manner. I'm going to watch it one more time, even though I don't want to. But he's standing there. He's got his sights aimed. Obviously, there's a huge crowd here. And he doesn't... There's no plan. Opens fire. And even at that range, he hit the bars a couple times. This is not good, right? So now frustration's tilted. These people are like going to be mad at him. You know, if this guy is indicative of how well trained the police are at the Capitol, that this was always going to end like this. Anyway, guys, I want to call it good there. Thanks for stopping by. We'll hit it up at 1:52 p.m. next time I come back. I'll roll that back. Yeah, we've just watched a very peaceful protest get devolved into shit, mostly by the actions of instigators, people inciting the riots, starting with the female who took down the gate over an hour prior to this, before Trump was even done talking, all the way up till this police officer here. He's not helping. There was a guy earlier telling people on Parlor that we need to storm the Capitol. There's no need for it. There's no purpose for it. There's no plan behind it. But he was inciting violence through the internet, and he should be banned. There's no good purpose to storm the Capitol. You get nothing. The only thing that people in Congress or in our world respond to is money. You have to take their money away. You take their money away, then they'll start to listen. The Capitol building, they don't care about that. They don't care about our history. They've spent the whole year tearing it down. Anyway, I'm going to call it good there. Thank you for your time. Next time I come live, and I'm not sure when that'll be, I will start at 1:52 p.m. and we'll push forward all the way through. Probably, I'm going to guess that on a long haul, I could get to 4 p.m. So we'll just try. All right, guys. Thank you. I hope you found it valuable to get this, and I will put the link to this video, these videos in time order from ProPublica into the description of the stream. So thank you. Have a good day, and I will talk to you soon.